Hey everyone, and welcome to this specific certification prep explainer. I am genuinely thrilled to have you here today because we're tackling a massively important topic for your Nutanix Certified Professional Multi-Cloud Infrastructure exam. Specifically, we're diving deep into our title topic today, NCP-MCI 7.5, 13.8, choosing PE-based versus PC-based DR. Look, if you're gearing up for this certification, grasping the architectural split between these two disaster recovery methodologies is absolutely crucial. It's not just about passing a test, right? It's about designing genuinely resilient enterprise environments in the real world. So let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this game plan. We're keeping things very methodical today. First, we'll cover why the DR choice actually matters. Second, we'll do a walkthrough with some concrete examples. Third, we're going to navigate the exam traps and edge cases. And finally, I'll give you the key facts you absolutely need to memorize. All right, Section 1. Why the DR choice matters. So in the field, your DR architecture literally dictates your uptime during a catastrophic failure. No pressure, right? But for the exam, understanding the underlying capabilities and the limitations of your control plane is what's going to guide you to the right answers. To lay our foundation, we really need to nail down our core terms. When we talk about P-based DR, we're referring to Prism element. Think of this as your cluster-level management. P-based DR uses what we call legacy protection domains, or PDs, for data protection. You configure this by signing directly into an individual cluster's web console. Now, on the flip side, we have PC-based DR. This is Prism Central. This is the modern centralized approach. Instead of those legacy protection domains, PC-based DR utilizes protection policies, and this is key, it applies those policies to groups of virtual machines using categories. The easiest way to weigh these two against each other in your head is just to think about scale. PB-based DR is inherently a single cluster-focused approach. It's fantastic for targeted, localized protection, but it forces you to manage disaster recovery on a cluster-by-cluster basis. Prism Central, though, it's built from the ground up for the multi-cluster world. Because PC-based DR uses a centralized management plane, it offers a massively scalable approach. By using those categories to group VMs or volume groups, you can apply a single protection policy and recovery plan across incredibly complex environments. You can enforce VM start sequences and interstage delays that, frankly, just aren't manageable at scale using legacy Prism element PDs. And this concept brilliantly illustrates how disaster recovery functions across physically isolated locations, which we call availability zones, or AZs. Basically, an instance of Prism Central represents an AZ. You've got your primary availability zone communicating seamlessly over an asynchronous, near-sync, or synchronous replication schedule to a recovery availability zone. Prism Central acts as the overarching brain here, coordinating all this complex traffic across all the underlying clusters. Moving right along to Section 2, walkthrough and concrete examples. Theory is great, but to really crush this on the NCP-MCI exam, we need to walk through some concrete scenarios. Let's look at our first classic architectural question. Imagine you're in the hot seat. How exactly do you protect VMs that are sitting on an IP address management, or IPAM network, across multiple availability zones? Which DR method do you actually choose here? Well, for IPAM and multi-AZ setups, PC-based DR is the undisputed correct choice. By leveraging protection policies and recovery plans, you can map categories of VMs completely seamlessly. But the crucial differentiator here, the why behind this answer, is visibility. You see, IPAM networks are managed exclusively from Prism Central. Because of that, Prism Central is literally the only control plane with the necessary network mapping visibility to properly fail over those VMs. Plus, PC-based DR unlocks some incredibly advanced features if you're using the Acropolis Hypervisor, or AHV. A huge one is CCLM, which stands for On-Demand Cross-Cluster Live Migration. This is a game changer. It allows you to live migrate guest VMs and their metadata across AHV clusters without even needing to protect them with a synchronous replication schedule first. It's just incredibly powerful. Okay, so PC is obviously powerful, but hold on, what if you're dealing with a different set of hypervisor constraints? Say your environment strictly requires metro availability, but you're running on ESXi or Hyper-V clusters. What then? This is where we see a major pivot. While PC-based DR is heavily optimized for AHV, it actually does not support live migration of guest VMs running on ESXi. So if you absolutely need metro availability between clusters running ESXi or Hyper-V hypervisors, you are required to use legacy PE-based DR. You'd set this up by signing directly into the Prism element web console for that specific cluster and configuring metro availability protection domains. This is a very specific edge case but I promise you need to remember this for the exam. The rule of thumb? ESXi or Hyper-V Metro strictly equals Prism Element Protection Domains. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, Exam Traps and Edge Cases. Welcome to the minefield. The test writers absolutely love to test your knowledge of exceptions. Picture this. You're an admin, it's a normal Tuesday, and suddenly you see this persistent alert popping up on your dashboard. Invalid network mapping specified for remote site. Your heart drops a bit, right? What did you do wrong? And more importantly, how do you fix it? The exam will for sure ask you to troubleshoot this exact scenario. So the crucial point is understanding exactly why this triggers. We call this the IPAM visibility trap. This alert pops up when you try to use legacy Prism element protection domains for VMs that live on IPAM-managed networks. Remember what we talked about earlier? Because IPAM is exclusively managed up in Prism Central, the local Prism element simply lacks the visibility required to configure the network mapping for the remote site. It's blind to it. But here is the trick, the real trap for the exam. This is actually a non-critical alert. Seriously, it doesn't even impact VM replication or protection. If you get hit with this question, the correct resolution is either to safely ignore the alert entirely, or even better, migrate those VMs away from legacy protection domains and over to modern PC-based protection policies. Let's look at another major trap. And guys, this one is catastrophic if you get it wrong out in the field. What happens if you attempt to protect a Prism Central VM itself, the PCVM, by dropping it into a legacy Prism element protection domain? I cannot stress this enough. Do not do this. This is the PCVM protection trap. PE-based DR absolutely does not support protecting a Prism Central VM. If you try to do this, it literally results in the Prism Central VM becoming entirely unrecoverable if a disaster hits. The source material is explicitly 100% clear on this. If the exam asks you how to protect your Prism Central instances, and yes, that includes scale-out configurations, the only correct answer is PCBR, which is Prism Central Backup and Restore. PCBR is a dedicated, purpose-built solution specifically designed to protect Prism Central against natural disasters or power failures. It's also what you'd use to migrate Prism Central instances from one cluster to another. So rule to live by: never, ever use a PE protection domain for a PCVM. All right, home stretch, Section 4, Key Facts to Memorize. Consider this your ultimate cheat sheet. I highly recommend pausing and writing these 4 points down before you sit for the exam. Number 1, if the scenario involves multiple availability zones or category-based grouping, it absolutely requires Prism Central Protection Policies. Number 2, if the VMs are on IPAM networks, you have to use Prism Central for network mapping. Trying to use Prism Element will just throw that non-critical alert we talked about. Number 3, if you need metro availability on ESXi or Hyper-V, you are forced to use legacy Prism Element protection domains. And number 4, ODCCLM, or On-Demand Cross-Cluster Live Migration, is that advanced AHV feature that lets you do live migrations across clusters without needing prior synchronous replication. I really want to leave you with this final thought as you continue your studying. Take a hard look at the environments you're managing today. Does your current hypervisor architecture force you into a legacy Prism element approach, or are you positioned right now to unlock that multi-AZ, category-driven power of Prism Central? Really understanding that why is exactly what makes someone a fantastic infrastructure admin, and for sure, it's what will help you ace Objective 13.8. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I'm wishing you the absolute best of luck on your NCP-MCI 7.5 certification exam.